Problem sheet 2, question 1. A country's economy can be described as either a bull market, where stock prices rise and things are going well, or a bear market, where stock prices fall and things are not going so well. The economy is categorised as such each quarter, so quarter of a year. The process is described as a discrete time Markov chain with probabilities of being in each state in the next quarter, given in this diagram here. If the country is currently in a bull market, what is the probability of being in either a bull or a bear market in 3 quarters' time? So what do we know about Markov chains? So we have this diagrammatic representation here, but we can, from that, we can write down what is the transition probability matrix. So P, that will be a 2 by 2 matrix as we have 2 states. If we order the states, bull market, bear market, the probability of staying in a bull market, if you're in a bull market, is 3 over 4. That comes from this probability here. The probability of transitioning to a bear market, if you're in a bull market, is 1 over 4. Of transitioning to a bull market, if you're in a bear market, is 1 over 2. And staying in a bear market, if you're in a bear market, 1 over 2. We can also describe the state that we're in, or the probability of which state we're in, with pi, with a time index, and we know we are currently in a bull market. Let's call the current time times 0, so pi 0 is, we know the probability of us being in a bull market, that is 1, so we are definitely in a bull market, and the probability of us being in a bear market is 0. We are interested in the probability of being in each state in 3 quarters time, and we know that is equal to pi naught, where we are now, multiplied by our transition probability matrix to the power of 3 in 3 time steps. So first consider, what is p to the power of 3? That is going to be p times p times p, which is going to be this. So we can perform that matrix multiplication, which is going to be and finally we can perform this matrix multiplication, which will be now. If you need a recap of how we do matrix multiplication, I will explain at the end of the video. Now we know that pi 3 is going to be equal to 1, 0, which is our pi naught, times this matrix here. We can multiply that out to get this vector here. So the question was asking, what is the probability of being in either a bull or a bear market in 3 quarters time? So the probability of being in a bull market in 3 quarters time will be 43 over 64, and the probability of being in a bear market in 3 quarters time will be 21 over 64. As a reminder of matrix multiplication, if we have one matrix multiplied by another, then the resultant matrix, each entry, will be the dot product between a row and a column of these factor matrices. So the entry corresponding to the first row and first column will be the dot product between the first row of the first matrix and the first column of the second matrix. The entry corresponding to the first row and second column will be the dot product of the first row of the first matrix and the second column of the second matrix. The entry corresponding to the second row and first column will be the dot product of the second row of the first matrix and the first column of the second matrix. And the entry corresponding to the second row and second column will be the dot product of the second row of the first matrix and the second column of the second matrix. Similarly, when multiplying a vector and a matrix, the result will be a vector. The first entry of that vector will be the dot product between the vector and the first column of the matrix. And the second entry of the vector will be the dot product between the vector and the second column of the matrix.